You guys requested it and then requested it again. It's time for me to show you the Ursa deck. Let's take a look. All right, I'm not kidding when I say that this is probably the most requested deck gameplay you guys wanted to see, which is the Ursas, of course, Urscout, Ursmog and Ursear, and Ursa, which make up the Ursa family and the subclass of Elestrals that function really cool together. It's a really cool mechanic. But I built a deck for this, and I've got some really good gameplay against what many consider to be the top Elestrals player, Eagle. Eagle actually won our prototype tournament last year, and they're very active in the game in terms of the testing of the app and things like that, so they're certainly a very accomplished player. So we've got our work cut out for us today, but let me do a quick deck breakdown. We're actually running mono fire on this one. As I said in a previous video, I pretty much never run mono decks, but I've been trying it a little bit lately, and this one I wanted to keep it simple. 3 Kinleo, that just gives us really good destruction. You got 3 Urscout, which allow you to search for other bears and get them onto the field if you're destroyed. Necrof is too good to not run in fire. And then I'm actually running 2 Blazerus for kind of big hits. Amphirex, I've got 2 of those, and then I've got 2 Ursmog and 2 Ursear. So, got the full bear package, but I decided not to run Ursa. At the current state of Elestrals, Ursa really isn't going to be that impactful. It's really hard to play unless you're doing like you know, Golden Apple into Rise from the Ashes to get Ursa out, so I decided to keep things simple. But I do have a Trifernal in here just because I wanted to try it out. And then I've got 3 Helios Chariot Ride, which is really about the big play. You'll see me try to execute that in this game. 3 Hephaestus, which is pretty much our Nexus Bank, but also Artifact Searcher. Got some Ambrosias, some Drops of Leaf. You've got the Gorgon's Gaze, little Volcanic Forge, which really helps the power creep. You really need that extra power on your bears. Some shields, some PTAs, you got your arrows, you got a little Nog, a resting on your laurels. Pretty standard, like, rune package here. But the main objective is to float those Ursears, or I'm sorry, those Urscouts into the other Ursas to allow you to essentially rapid fire to Trifernal or Blazerus and use your Chariot Ride to kind of stop the rune play to be able to deal some big plays and ultimately deal a massive blow. If you're able to get Blazerus onto the field and then turn it into Trifernal, you put your opponent in such a tough spot. So let's take a look at the gameplay. And always be sure to like the video and subscribe, and let me know which deck you want to see next in the comments section below. I obviously read them and try to get you guys gameplay with all the different archetypes you want to see. So we're facing Eagle the Duck here. We're going to draw our cards and draw our hand and see how this is going to play out. One of the cards I'm most excited about right now that I think a lot of people haven't been using is Helios' Chariot Ride, and you're going to see me try to execute that strategy in this game. So I do draw the Helios, and I draw Kinleo, 2 Bears, and Hephaestus, and I'm like, that's a pretty darn good opening hand. Eagle opens up with Nectar of the Gods, which allows him to draw 2 cards, which is pretty spicy, of course. That gives him some really, really good kind of early game potential, and then goes into Foamy, and he pretty much optimizes his first turn. I mean, that's about as good as it gets. Luckily for us, we have a pretty good response to that. I can actually just cast my Kinleo. I opt to cast Kinleo first before I do anything else to see if there's a Poison-Tipped Arrow response. There's not, thus I can cast Hephaestus. I'm gonna get Hephaestus up to 3. Hephaestus is really cool because you instantly get to search out an artifact. I choose to hold off on my artifact search. Let's use Kinleo's effect first and see if I get Gorgon's Gaze. I'm gonna swap a spirit. I'm gonna Nexus the spirit onto my Kinleo, target down the Foamy, and we actually just straight up knock out the Foamy. There was no response there, so I was pretty happy about that. Then I can disenchant my Hephaestus, and I can search my deck and grab one of my artifacts. Hammer of Hephaestus is really cool in the sense that you become immune to targeting when Hephaestus is on the field from Elestral effects, which stops things like Sorlid and Boom Bats and stuff, but it seems to be like that secondary effect is less useful than you would like. I decided to go very aggro here turn 1 because I have no back row support and I'm bluffing, so I go with the hammer and I'm like, you know what, this will get me to 5 attack. It means that a handful of things on his deck may not be able to deal with Kinleo this turn, and you know, I force him onto the offensive and maybe he'll run into one of my baits. He actually plays Galaxy, which has 5 attack with its effect, and thus I'm in a situation where he can crash and knock us both out. And there's a really smart play by my opponent, recognizing that if he can't get rid of Kinleo, I'm probably gonna just wreck him every single turn. This is an unfortunate reality of me not having the back row support here. So I think in deck building, I probably could add an extra, you know, shield or an extra PTA, and it would have made all the difference here. The shield would have, not the PTA. But so we crash. He takes a point of damage because I had 2 spirits. He only had 1. But I lose my Kinleo, which was obviously a pretty important piece of the puzzle for me. I draw into another Hephaestus, kind of a bummer, and then I'm gonna say, you know what? Let's just get our Urscout out here. It's not gonna do a whole lot, but I can at least ping him for 1. Deal 1 damage and see if he's going to utilize that counter rune, and he actually does. He pops Shield of Achilles on my Urscout, which tells me that he probably doesn't have any removal otherwise, and that's a trade I'm willing to take. Like, yes, he gets advantage in board state, but I also just burn his Shield of Achilles, and I'm thinking, okay, like, we're in a pretty even game right now. Peliquarius hits the field. This is going to give them the search ability. Peliquarius can search out any water Elestral that's 1 cost, which generally you'll see like a Foamy, but Eagle grabs Aepharos, and I'm like, why are you grabbing Aepharos? That tells me that you're going to try to use some sort of a draw engine with Poseidon to maximize your draw potential and ultimately manage some sort of a combo play. So I get hit for 1 on the Peliquarius, and I'm in a situation where I draw Trifernal, which is not what you want to draw, probably one of the worst draws in this deck, and I say, okay, you know what? Let's get a little cheeky here. I want to be on the offensive. I don't want to give him an opportunity to ascend into anything and get field advantage. Let's crash my Urscout into the Peliquarius, get destroyed, grab an Ursear, and then crash that. So that's ultimately, I think, what I ended up doing. I ended up crashing, getting the Ursear. When Ursear destroys something in battle, you actually get to search out another bear. So I'm at 3 attacks, so is he. So I actually just crash, and then I get another bear. So pretty sweet stuff, and that's going to allow me to grab Urscout again. So I get my 3rd Urscout to the field. I obviously have one in hand, and that gives me some kind of defensive potential here, so I can, you know, maintain my board state of kind of this floating going on, where, you know, I'm continuously getting Elestrals on the field, and with Infurix and Urscout kind of floating, that's the hope, is that I can then get Blazerus onto the field and deal some massive damage. But Eagle is aptly prepared with the Tech Earthquake in the water deck. This is one of the things I really love about Elestrals, is just naturally how the game is designed. We encourage multi-element use because some of the better cards like Earthquake are locked behind Earth. So you'll often see players run 2 or 4 Earth Spirits with a couple Earthquakes just for that kind of reliable removal, and you see him utilize that really well. This is a strategy that a lot of players are starting to use right now, which is the Aepharos kind of build-up strategy with Atlantis. It becomes an incredible wall if you're able to utilize this, but Aepharos basically hits the field, Poseidon hits the field, he can Nexus from Poseidon onto Aepharos, draw 2, and then hit me for 3. So I lose 3 spirits here, and he's got a 3-spirit Aepharos and a Poseidon on the field, and I'm in a pretty tough spot, I would say. I draw into Infurix, and I say, okay, this could be a way for me to get back into this, but let's play the bear game. I'm going to use the bear. I'm going to try to, I think I end up crashing to get Ursear again in hopes that I can take out his Aepharos, because I realize if at any point in time Eagle gets 2 Aepharos on the field, I'm going to be in so much trouble. It's going to make my life very difficult. So I'll cast my Ambrosia, show that it was a bait this entire time. I don't think I'm scaring him. He's going to go on the offensive anyway. And I decide, you know what? This is my option. I have to get rid of this thing. I try to crash, and it doesn't work. He doesn't let me crash. I would have taken 2 damage there, but I would have been able to ultimately clear the Aepharos if I got my Ursear out. Tsunami's going to switch me to defense, so I'm in a bad spot. Then Aepharos hits the field, and he gets to Nexus back and forth. He draws 4 cards this turn because of this combination. 2 from Aepharos to the other Aepharos, and then 2 from Aepharos back. He ends up sending it back to Poseidon, actually, which is kind of a cool strategy to kind of save the spirits on the field and put him in a situation where, you know, he's able to kind of maximize potential here. Now, I'm in a situation right now where if I draw Blazerus, I pop off, and I say to myself, I can still win this game. If I draw Blazerus, I can Helios Chariot Ride, ascend to Blazerus, and clear his field. I draw Drops of Leaf, and I'm like, there's still hope for me. I still have a chance here. I'm going to utilize a spirit from my Hephaestus. I'm going to activate the Helios Chariot Ride. So I only cost me 1 spirit because I used the spirit on my Hephaestus. I didn't really need... I guess I could have searched another hammer out. That would have been the other play. But I say, you know what? Let's get Helios' Chariot Ride out. So my opponent cannot activate any runes this turn. I play Drops of Leaf. All I got to do is get a Blazerus. I'm going to reveal 3 cards in my hand. All I have to do is draw 1 of my Blazerus in the deck. I think I had 3. I think in the preview I showed you 2. I tweaked the deck since then. I think at this time I had 3 in the deck. All I need is a Blazerus. I have 4 cards to draw. 30 cards in my deck. I've got a decent chance. If I draw Blazerus, I pop off here. Necro, Ambrosia, or... It's not Blazerus. I don't draw Blazerus. So if I draw Blazerus there, I actually clear both Aepharos, then get Trifernal and hit him for 3. And there's nothing that Eagle can do about that. Eagle will still have a chance to try to come back in the game, but I legitimately would have a Blazerus, knock out both Aepharos, Trifernal hits the field, and then he would have had to deal with a Trifernal with essentially 1 spirit left in the spirit deck and 3 on Poseidon. Not an impossible thing to overcome, but I would have been in a position where we had a chance to win. So I do cast out my Necrof. We're still in this game. He can't play runes. Necrof is going to chip him for 1 damage. I realize that they still have incredible amounts of draw power, and this is going to be really hard for me to win this game at this point, but Necruff gives me a chance. Ambrosia hits the field. Eagle's going to be able to get a couple spirits back, so maybe my Trifernal play wouldn't have mattered as much, but it certainly would have put the pressure on, would have forced out, you know, maybe an Earthquake if they had it. They probably wouldn't have had the Earthquake. Gets 2 more draws because of Aepharos, just getting to see how strong this Aepharos is, and then it all comes crashing down. Caprigal hits the field. He ascends into Caprigal, a 4 Spirit Caprigal, which means that my Necruff is taking 3 direct damage as a result of the differential between spirits. I lose my Necruff. He actually gets to cast out a Foamy because of Caprigal, and now the board state is completely flipped. And it was a close one, man. I think it's important to upload losses as well as wins. This is a game where I lost, but it was very close. Like, I feel like this strategy of setting up your combo pieces, waiting for your opportunity to pull your Helios Chariot Ride onto the field, and then go for the big play like I was trying to do there, is something that will be interesting to watch out for in Elestrals as the metagame develops. I think it's actually a pretty viable strategy. We are 1 card away from making it happen on this one. So there's your Bears, ladies and gentlemen. I have already teased at the fact that Bears are going to be getting more support at the end of the year in set 2 in a big way as well. So if you're a Bear fan, have fun. You've got a relatively mid-tier deck right now, but there's a lot of potential down the road for the Ursa subclass to get a little bit of love. Let me know what you want to see next. Big shouts to Eagle for the game, and I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.